bringing you news with a voice of reason. You're listening to the Hawk Report. Presidential proclamation addressing mass migration through the southern border of the United States. The United States expects the arrival at the border between the United States and Mexico southern border of a substantial number of aliens, primarily from Central America, who appear to have no lawful basis for admission into our country. They are traveling in large organized groups through Mexico and reportedly intend to enter the United States unlawfully or without proper documentation and to seek asylum, despite the fact that, based on past experience, a significant majority will not be eligible for or be granted that benefit. Many entered Mexico unlawfully, some with violence, and have rejected opportunities to apply for asylum and benefits in Mexico. I repeat, and have rejected opportunities to apply for asylum and benefits in Mexico. The arrival of large numbers of aliens will contribute to the overloading of our immigration and asylum system and to the release of thousands of aliens into the interior of the United States. The continuing and threatened mass migration of aliens with no basis for admission into the United States through our southern border has precipitated a crisis and undermines the integrity of our borders. I therefore must take immediate action to protect the national interest and to maintain the effectiveness of the asylum system for legitimate asylum seekers who demonstrate that they have fled persecution and warrant the many special benefits associated with asylum. In recent weeks, an average of approximately 2,000 inadmissible aliens have entered each day at our southern border. In fiscal year 2018, overall, 124,511 aliens were found inadmissible at ports of entry on the southern border, while 396,579 aliens were apprehended entering the United States unlawfully between such ports of entry. The great number of aliens who cross unlawfully into the United States through the southern border consumes tremendous resources as the government seeks to surveil, apprehend, screen, process, and detain them. Aliens who have entered the United States unlawfully or without proper documentation and are subject to expedited removal may avoid being promptly removed by demonstrating during an initial screening process a credible fear of persecution or torture. Approximately two decades ago, most aliens deemed inadmissible at a port of entry or apprehended after unlawfully entering the United States through the southern border were single adults who were promptly returned to Mexico, and very few asserted a fear of return. Since then, however, there has been a massive increase in fear of persecution or torture claims by aliens who entered the United States through the southern border. The vast majority of such aliens are found to satisfy the credible fear threshold, although only a fraction of the claimants whose claims are adjudicated ultimately qualify for asylum or other protection. Aliens found to have credible fear are often released into the interior of the United States. As a result of a lack of detention space and a variety of other legal and political difficulties, pending adjudication of their claims in a full removal proceeding in immigration court. The immigration adjudication process often takes years to complete because of the growing volume of claims and because of the need to expedite proceedings for detained aliens. During that time, many released aliens fail to appear for hearings, do not comply with subsequent orders of removal, or are difficult to locate and remove. Members of family units pose particular challenges. The federal government lacks sufficient facilities to house families together. Virtually all members of family units who enter the United States through the southern border unlawfully or without proper documentation and that are found to have a credible fear of persecution are thus released into the United States. Against this backdrop of near assurance of release, the number of such aliens traveling as family units who enter through the southern border and claim a credible fear of persecution has greatly increased. And large number of family units decide to make the dangerous and unlawful border crossing with their children. Donald J. Trump. I will leave a link in the production notes for you to finish the rest of the article.
Speaking on Radio Info K, confirmed that some criminal groups have infiltrated the caravan. Quoting, I have videos from Guatemala that show men dressed in identical clothing, sporting the same haircuts, handing out money to women to persuade them to move to the front of the caravan. We know for a fact that some members of the caravan threatened Mexican Migration Institute personnel, and we have images showing many of them preparing Molotov cocktails. Currently, the caravan is expected to reach the U.S. border within the next 9 days, pending any prolonged stops. When the caravan arrives, there will be approximately 6,800 deployed soldiers to back up U.S. Customs and Border Patrol as a part of Operation Faithful Patriot. The official stance by the Trump administration is the U.S. will stand firm and will not allow a large group of illegal migrants to enter the U.S. if they have no lawful right to gain entry. The U.S. will provide protection to those individuals who qualify for asylum under U.S. law, which does not include those who are looking for work or to be reunified with family. And that is the facts.
Well, the march continues northward to the United States. I am in Donahue, Mexico, and as you can see, folks, there are thousands of migrants here, primarily from Honduras, some from Guatemala and El Salvador. One thing that becomes immediately apparent is I would say about 90% of these migrants are young men. There are some women, there are some children and infants, but the vast majority of this migrant caravan is indeed young men. Secondly, the way they're getting about is kind of interesting. Many are hitching rides on trucks like that, and also as we found in Mateus Romero, where this march originated from on this stage, the local cab companies were voluntarily giving rides to these migrants, as well as government officials. In the case of the cab companies, I don't know how much of it is altruism as opposed to simply punting this problem further out of town. It's a problem that the people of Mateus Romero certainly don't want to deal with. And now, as you can see, it's becoming some other community's problem.
Tuesday, November 6th, conservatives battle the resistance at the voting booth.
You have a chance to reach Well, what we just witnessed a few minutes ago, folks, as you saw, was a man with a megaphone telling everybody that they had to get going by vehicle, by foot, whatever. They can't stay here any longer. He was met with some angry resistance. People are upset, they're tired, they're hungry. Even so, the caravan is now moving towards the state of Santa Cruz, and evidently we've been told this is an area more rife with danger thanks to the presence of organized crime, which could pose yet another threat to this caravan on its quest to the United States of America. Now, folks, in addition to buses and flatbed trucks and other assorted vehicles, you'll come across these pickup trucks with the green canopy on it. These are government vehicles, and they are also facilitating the move of these migrants to the next generation. It looks like, in addition to offering migrants jobs and health care, an offer about 2,000 of them have reportedly taken. Those who have not taken the offer, the government is doing its part, if you want to call it that, by keeping the line moving ever further northward. For the Rebel.Media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies.